Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So for today, what I want to talk about is a lot of fat activists and their evil, horrible preferences for thin men.
I wrote a song about stretch marks and unconditional love, and it's inspired by my boyfriend, Chase. Hi.
So I wanted to talk about this today also because TikTok Tuesday just so happened to fall on Valentine's Day, which is inherently hilarious to me for some reason. So I decided to make this episode a lot about just dating and the preferences and this type of pattern that I see. Now, this isn't necessarily all fat acceptance activists, but even very prominent ones like Virgie Tovar, William Hornby, these types, they are more interested in thin men. They do tend to be white as well, which a lot of these people, they have a lot of, we'll just say they have a lot of intense views around race. Oftentimes they use race in terms of justifying their movement. A little bit jarring. I remember when I first watched this, I was really surprised.
My husband, Chris, who's an EMT, is going to explain how a blood pressure cuff should fit and when to ask for a larger size.
So this is a normal blood pressure cuff. On the inside, you're going to see a range marking.
I was a little bit surprised at first, especially because Hannah Talk Bodies, she is very, very, very hardcore. It is interesting to me because in the minds of a lot of these people, they do believe that every single thin person has massive amounts of fat phobia. And I find that to be really strange to choose a partner that is thin. It denotes a strange form of hypocrisy, but also a self-refuting point. When you are constantly saying that the whole world is against you for being fat, when all this stuff is against you, thin people hate you, right? Thin people are oppressive, and they really, really go hard after thin women. But then when they choose to date a thin man, it does make me wonder if it really is just about the fact that they feel out-competed. Now, I will say, when I was looking for somebody to date, there were times when I was interested in other fat guys, and they weren't interested in me. They didn't want somebody who was fat. They only wanted somebody who was thin, and they would say it even on their profile and everything. And so I don't know if that's what's going on, because I think that can happen, but I also think that it's a little bit too convenient in a sense, I myself, I have had obviously different men attracted to me throughout my life, and a lot of them have been probably thinner. I really didn't internalize being fat as a label. And sometimes they would be shocked that I was active or that I would go out and do things because I was so big. And I've been told that by a lot of different guys. I can't believe you're willing to go hiking, or I can't believe that you'll go out on the town or you'll walk around for hours. I've been told this kind of stuff. And so I think that that's also why, because I am very, I don't know. I guess when you don't internalize the label, sometimes you just don't resonate as well. Because I've also had a very untypical diet for a lot of years because I couldn't have gluten. And when you can't eat gluten, you cannot just eat whatever. You have to really pay attention to everything. And so I don't know if it was really the combination of those two things that I really did not resonate as much with, very fat guys. I've never been a fat acceptance activist either. So even if I did care about it, it's it doesn't really matter because I was never telling people that they should feel bad for not being interested in fat people. So to me, the whole thing is really odd. It doesn't really resonate with my experience as much. I think there is, of course, a lot of people that will just write you off right off the bat in terms of dating if you're overweight, but what a lot of these fat acceptance people don't understand, and I think what a lot of people don't understand in general, is that you're not looking to date the whole world. Unless if you're just trying to sleep around with everybody you could possibly find, you're not going to care. You're just looking for one person that you're attracted to, that's attracted to you back. And that's really all that matters. I think a lot of times, both sides of the extremes, but especially fat acceptance, TikTok, they focus so much on society's view of their relationship or society's view of who they're finding attractive, society's view of all these questions, when in reality, you know, barring any illegal activity, barring any abusive activity, barring anything like that, you're the one that is sleeping with the person. You're the one that is going home to them every night. It's not my business. If you are into somebody, then be into them. But that's why I don't like it when they criticize other people's preferences, because it does open the door for theirs to be criticized, and I'm doing it. They're going to be with who they want to be with, but I don't like them lecturing everybody else. You know, it gives very rules for thee, not for me vibes, and I'm not a fan of that at all. So for the last thing I want to show today, it's a bit longer, but it is a TikTok where she's talking about this very thing. It was this woman where she posted a video of her and her husband. Her husband is very, very in shape. She is fat, and people were triggered. Now, I believe people were triggered, but people in general are just extra, and they're triggered by everything all the time. Just saying. Let's get into it.
I posted a simple transition video of me and my husband going from towels to dressed up together. This is not unlike what all kinds of different couples do on this app. My video went viral, and I know we all know why. It's because by beauty standards, we don't make sense.
So again, for me personally, it's not necessarily the beauty standards angle. It's more so the association with fat acceptance that this person has. Because many of the people in this movement, they say the same talking points over and over again. It's like a hive mind situation. So even if she herself hasn't said anything like that, people assume that she believes that because they all say the same things. So when I see this, I think, oh, so it's self-acceptance, it's all this stuff, but it's not acceptance for your partner. That's what I see. That might not be what other people see. That might not be what typical thin people are seeing, or, you know, maybe fat-phobic thin people are seeing. They're seeing, oh my gosh, why is this guy that I find attractive with this woman, blah, blah, blah. I'm irritated because I should be with someone like him. I don't know, whatever. Which to that, I'm just like, it's kind of extra because it's like there's plenty of people out there. But for me, I question her views. I don't question society's views.
The world looks at us and immediately values Scott more than me. And since we don't add up, people try to add things to my side of the equation to make it make sense by saying things like, oh, she must not have been fat when they met, or oh, she's got to be rich. Or they try to decrease his side of the equation by saying things like, he must be gay.
So this is very toxic, and I could see what she was saying where she says, my value is lower than his. And then she says, they try to up my value by saying I'm rich, by saying this type of stuff. And then she then says they try to devalue him by saying he's gay. So I'm like, okay, so this woman is totally homophobic, apparently. She thinks that if somebody is gay, then they're of less value. That's what I'm hearing. Like, did I make that up in my head, or did she just say that? Because I'm like, okay, so if he was gay, then he would be lesser than? Like, woman. So now you're bordering on me questioning you to now actually being offensive. And I think that she's trying to make this oh, this is what society thinks, but it's like, honey, 9 times out of 10, when people say society is this, society is that, especially if they're low tier, low rent, awful influencers online, they are projecting what they think about the world when they say society. Because I've told you guys many times before, society is split into all these different groups and all these different cultural centers, different values. Everything is different, and it's really what you choose to focus on. That's what you see. And that's why a lot of people say what is within us is reflected in the world. It's not so much that in and as much as it's that how you feel on the inside, you tend to look for things that reflect that back to you. So when she says these things, I'm like, okay, so what exactly are you saying? Why are you so much internalizing these messages that you're supposedly hearing? I think it's much more that you believe these things already.
We've been made to believe that somebody who is physically fit like Scott could never in a million years be in love with or compatible with a fat woman. And that's solely because the world has literally taught us that we have to value our worth on our bodies.
This is a very interesting TikTok because she's admitting that she's out of shape. She's admitting that she is not physically fit. So she's admitting she's unwell. She's not taking care of herself. This is what I hear. Am I just being crazy, or am I hearing what she's saying? He's physically fit and I'm not. That's what she's saying. So she acknowledges that fitness exists, which I guess is a good place to start. But once again, it makes me think, so do you think he's of higher value? Is that why you're with him? Because it's just odd. And why do you hold your partner to a standard that you don't hold yourself to? Very, very odd to me. Super strange. I am not straight, but if I was, I would not date a woman like her. Period. I see red flags. Because this stuff, she's right, it doesn't add up. But if you look a bit deeper, it's actually worse than what she's saying.
A woman slid into Scott's DMs and said, "You should be with somebody who looks like me." She was thin, and by beauty standards, a 10 out of 10. Here's the thing, though. Me telling myself for the majority of our relationship that I'm not worthy of his love because of my body is the exact same thing as this thin woman telling him that she is worthy of his because of her body.
So it's really not. It's really just salt. This other woman is salty. She is upset that somebody she finds attractive is with somebody else. It wouldn't matter if you were the most beautiful person in the world. It wouldn't matter if you were thin and if you were all these things. People get jealous and catty online, and they say things, and everybody criticizes every single relationship. I often have to remind other gay men of this, that no matter what, you will always have criticism of your relationship, because there is this idea in the gay world that heterosexual people do not have any criticism of their relationships, and that's obviously untrue. But a lot of gay men are kind of self-absorbed and obsessed. I hate to say it, but I'm allowed to shade my own, I guess. So they don't see that. I do, though. I see it all the time. I've seen it with I have a lot of girlfriends. They have all gotten judged for who they're with. Every single one of them. I got criticized too. It's like, this happens all the time. Like, you're not special for people criticizing your relationship. You're not special for somebody being salty. You're not special. You're not a victim because people have something to say. Everybody always has something to say. It's just so odd. And then she's creating these false connections that don't exist. Her inferiority complex that I really doubt is even real. Because if you believe that you're less than somebody, you will try to please the other person, or you will try to change or accommodate. And this can be unhealthy. She's clearly not doing that. So this whole thing of, oh, I'm so inferior to my husband, I don't think she actually believes that. If anything, she thinks he is, because she thinks he has to do all this to stay in shape, and she doesn't. That's how it looks optically to me. That may not be true, but that honestly is what I see the optics of this relationship. And so now I'm starting to think she lies. And I feel bad for men, for straight men sometimes, because they are not as good at sussing out a woman's lies, and it can lead to weird results. I'm not sitting here, I don't know how their relationship is, but all I can say is it's something I would not be a part of, because I don't like what I'm seeing here.
I'm undervaluing myself, and she is overvaluing herself.
It's very, very odd to tell somebody else that they're overvaluing themselves. I think that that is something that certain, not trying to diagnose anybody, but let's just say it's a trait of certain dark triad personality disorders. That's not good. To tell somebody you're overvaluing yourself, in a lot of cases, can be abusive. I'm not saying that this person is a victim for trying to slide in the DMs and whatever. She's going to fire her shots back. But what I'm saying is, if this is how she views the world, I just wonder, who else has she said that to? Who else does she say that kind of thing to? What other women does she say that to? It's just And does she say that to men in her life? Does she say that? Who is she saying that to? And why? Because that, in my opinion, is toxic to just say. I would have just said, this woman thinks that she can come in and try to take my man. That's pathetic. Me and my man have history. We have love. We care about each other. We value each other immensely. Nobody else could compete with either one of us, because we've been there for each other during times that it's like we'll never be as vulnerable as we were then. So nobody else can compete with this person. That's the kind of thing that I would say. I would not say, you're overvaluing yourself.
We've both been made to believe that our value lies in our body.
By who? For one. And for two, what does that even mean in practice? And also, how does that relate to this dynamic that is clearly explained by other things? It's called salt, jealousy. It's been around time immemorial. It has been happening forever, as long as people have existed, in their current form at least. So to say something like that, try to shoehorn this long-standing eternal concept like jealousy within the human race, to try to explain that through some kind of bo-po fat acceptance vibe is very, very reductionistic and a bit ridiculous.
I get asked this question all the time. Do you get jealous when people hit on your husband? And my answer is always no. Most of the time people are put off by this or confused as to why not. That's because when people typically slide into his DMs, they're leading with their body first. And on the scale of what my husband values, how well my body fits into the beauty standards is not on the top of his list.
I don't know. I think, the vast majority of men that I've known, both gay and straight, especially even in the gay community, where they tend to think, the types that think more masculine-like, whereas I think more feminine-like. Your body is definitely very important to a man. It's not a bad or a good thing, right? It just is. And, typically, if a man's interested in you, he's interested in you. He likes your body the way it is. I don't think you need to trip out about it. But I just think to try to I'm just going to say, I'm not buying that he doesn't care about it at all. I think that I do buy that he cares about other things. But, there's this thing sometimes where men tell you what you want to hear. So I don't know. I'm just saying. I think it's more likely that you guys just have so much history. I think in one of those comments, she said that she met him when she was 15. Go for it. You know what I mean? I have no issue. Like I said, I don't have any issue with it. I just don't like her trying to portray it as something different. If you have history and you've known somebody since you were 15 years old and all this stuff, it's like, of course, you're going to outcompete other women. And of course, you shouldn't feel jealous. It's just like, they're not going to compare. And that's fine. To me, it's weird to just address this at all. I can assure you guys, I'm never going to do a video like the one that she's doing right now because I don't have anything to prove as far as my relationship. And I don't know if that's some of the struggles that I've been through where it's like I struggled so much with being gay and all this stuff that now that I'm older and I've gotten past all that, I do not care at all what other people think. So it's like, just saying, I'm not going to be making anything like this. I don't think she should either, and it's very odd. I just wonder, is this something that her husband appreciated? Maybe he did. I don't know.
He values my humor and my commitment and my love and my caring heart. And none of these things that he values about me change if my body changes. So
yeah, I'm not going to buy that. I think that there's probably other things to you. And like I said, that history, and maybe there are other traits there that are more than that, because that stuff is very common. So, I don't know. It's her business, but it's just like, okay, girl. You know? I don't know.
when someone slides into his DMs leading with their body first, he's asking, but what else?
I think that she puts him out there like this because she feels that being with him gives her status. And so I think that she's loving this more than anything. And to me, it's just like, girl, whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm not bothered. So you do you, boo. I only care that you're trying to make this whole societal narrative and trying to do this whole thing. That's what I care about. And also being an extreme hypocrite at the same time, because you're sitting there saying that you're saying he's of higher value. You're saying that he's fit and you're not, that you're below him and all this stuff. And it's just odd. And it's also not adding up logistically, because like I said, if you felt that way, you would have to put more effort into your body. So I think you actually probably view yourself as above him. I think that's much more likely, and he may view the same. But like, he may view you above him, where it's okay for you to do whatever you want. It's not okay for him. It's not my business, like I said, but I just wouldn't think it's a flex. I think if you really love your partner, you're going to do your best to be at your best for your partner. And I'm not seeing that.
Because he, like I, know that people's values don't lie in how well their bodies fit into society's trash beauty standards. And I get it. If this is the way you think, it's the way you've been taught. However, it is your responsibility to unlearn it.
Now, I do think that there's toxicity in just saying your appearance is everything. That's all that matters as far as a relationship, but it's equally as toxic to say it doesn't matter at all. That's not true. At all. I don't like you trying to teach that to people, especially young people. That's not helpful advice whatsoever. And I think that it's just a very, very strange thing to try to, again, go after people's preferences or go after these kinds of things, which she's doing it in a roundabout way. But there's a difference between being criticized and responding to that criticism, and being criticized and trying to use that criticism to change how other people think. about issues and things that do not affect you. Other people's preferences don't affect you. Other people's views on this type of thing don't affect you. It's just odd. And so I think that it's, I don't know. As I said, I had a lot of red flags with this person. I would not trust her for a second. That's how I feel. I think there's some weird stuff going on. Personally, I just would avoid her altogether. I would practically run in the other direction. Because the thing is, when you're a caring person and you're all this stuff, you don't have to tell people that. You don't have to assert that. People just say it about you. You know, what do people say about you versus what do you have to convince people, right? But anyways, you guys, that was fun. I thought we'd be a little bit catty today because it's Valentine's Day. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like it, please do like it. Please subscribe. And we'll be back for another TikTok Tuesday next week. I love you guys. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one.